David, you mentioned Ventrell Miller, a player who led the team in tackles in 2020, out early in the 21 season, obviously hurt the defense tremendously. The linebacking core intrigues me that, of course, Miller comes back, so that's almost an addition because of what happened in 21. Brenton Cox is one of the very best in college football. But you lose a lot of production there, one of which you will see in a Utah uniform coming back. He had almost 200 tackles as a Gator, Mohamed Diabate. So the linebacking core, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, it should be Ventrell Miller and probably Amari Burney to start. And I know Gator fans will roll their eyes. You know, Amari Burney's been there forever as well. I mean, this is, so I said, Ventrell Miller's 6th year. This is Amari Burney's 5th year. But Mark, as I said, look, I probably should preface this. Everybody, for me, on the defensive side of the ball gets a pass after the buffoonery of the last staff of not developing and just not adjusting, adapting whatsoever. So your Amari Burney's, your Ventrell Millers, your Trey Deans, guys who have been on this defense and not necessarily shown, a lot of positive. I think it's a clean slate for me. With this new staff, this new way of doing things, I think everybody gets a fresh start. But Ventrell Miller, I probably shouldn't throw him in that group. As you said, Mark, led the team in tackles a couple years ago. True linebacker there for the Gators. Missed his leadership last year big time. You could really tell on that defensive side of the ball. But he's a tackling machine, and I think Florida's going to need him versus Utah. Florida's going to need him versus Kentucky in those first couple of games. Florida got ran up and down the field on last year versus LSU and South Carolina and Georgia, that middle stretch of the season. And Ventrell Miller was a big part of that. Him missing was a big part of that. And Mohamed Diabate, now he's at Utah. Florida will play him game 1, and Florida should run a dive play or a counter play right at him until he proves he can stop it, because he couldn't stop it last year. But he did. He missed spring for Utah there, so that'd be an interesting storyline. And Tyron Hopper also transferred out to Missouri. So Florida will face 2 former linebackers at some point this year, Mark. But I did say, it starts with Ventrell Miller, starts with Amari Burney, but I do think somebody like a Derek Wingo, as I mentioned, recruited a couple years ago as a defensive end, comes in. They move him to linebacker. That was kind of the plan the whole time. He was going to start playing linebacker for the Gators. But there's things he had to get used to. We had an interview with him a couple weeks ago on Gators Breakdown, and look, I didn't backpedal in high school. I didn't know how to backpedal. I didn't know how to play linebacker. So it was an adjustment for him. Now going into his 3rd year with a lot more experience playing linebacker, I expect some big things from Derek Wingo. DeJuan Black, you go back to the spring, was a big-time playmaker at the linebacker position for the Gators, but also one of those hybrid types. You go back in high school, and he had to go to junior college as well. Played linebacker, played safety, played a little bit of a nickel as well. So when I sit here and say Florida's looking for true linebackers, they really are. They have a lot of guys who are versatile, guys who can play other positions, but Florida has missed that true linebacker when they go and recruit. So that has turned a little bit. Scooby Williams a couple classes ago. I mentioned Shamar James as well from last cycle. So it's going to start with Ventrell Miller and Amari Burney, but I do expect a lot of other names that I just mentioned to have a big role in this Gator defense.